Hey guys, what is up? Shadowlands back for another episode of Theory of Everything. I've got a really interesting topic for you guys today, although I really want to say right off the bat before I get into it, I don't think this is really going to offend anyone in any way, but on the off chance that it does, that's not the intention of this video. This is merely meant to explain a theory and where some stuff comes from a base core. Today I'm going to be talking about the theory of religion. Now, I'm not going to be talking about any religion specifically. I'm going to be talking about where the idea of religion comes from, why we have theory, why we have religion versus why we have like science and those kind of theories. So, anyway, what religion is, if you were to define it out of the dictionary, is simply a set of beliefs treated almost like a code of law within a group. Usually this law is set forth by their god or whatever deity they represent. Belief spawns from the dawn of time when the first humans walked the earth. Now, I'm not saying necessarily Adam and Eve, because everyone has their own interpretation of this, but we all pretty much agree that there were first humans. And the first humans to walk the earth is when you have people that couldn't explain the phenomena of the world before science really started getting integrated. So embodiments or gods were created to be the foundation of religion. They were saying, oh, so we have lightning, we can't explain it, so we're going to explain it in terms that we can understand. And now it's not necessarily that that's wrong, because there are many instances where science and religion cross, and where one thing can't be explained in terms of science, it can be explained in terms of religion. And now each religion may have a different way to explain it, but it doesn't make them wrong. And in many cases, a lot of things that we learned in science came from religion. We wouldn't understand a lot of things that we have in science without religion. So it's very important. Religion is incredibly important, both in terms of history and in terms of where our future is heading. So religion is basically whenever you have that natural occurrence or disaster with one of the elements, and there's no way to explain it or fix it, people would pray to the gods of their religion to help. Things like this include tsunamis, huge storms like hurricanes, and earthquakes, volcanoes, tornadoes, all this kind of stuff that they couldn't explain hundreds of thousands of years ago, or even thousands of years ago. You would have like elements like the Greek and Roman gods. You would have platonic elements like fire, earth, wind, and water. Those are the four original elements before we had the periodic table. And if you guys who have studied chemistry were probably told at some point that the elements presented by Plato, the platonic elements, were simply fire, earth, wind, and water. And that was basically how everyone defined everything. Now, obviously, today, given chemistry, we know that fire is a very, very limited element. It is simply the release of heat. It's very, very limited, and it can be applied to any element we know. Earth obviously contains most of our elements, wind the second most, and water is simply a solution, which is in terms of science. But then religion is further split geographically, not just beyond belief, but beyond just well, when you say geographically, you could say, yes, literally over continents or countries, but it could also be from city to city. That was very, very common in ancient times around in Hebrew ages, like around that whole time, whatever. It was literally split, like, geographically, and that may be in terms, you could argue that, oh, some places get tsunamis and others don't, so some people would have a god of tsunamis or whatever, another group may not. Another group may have never even seen the ocean before. Yes, if you live in the middle of the Sahara, you may not ever see the ocean in your lifetime. It was very, very plausible back then to have that be very true. So, literally, it's further split. Now, a lot of people have this kind of concept of, oh, the reason we have different languages, the reason we have different religions in the first place, the reason we have different races, is because everything at some point was split. And that obviously is a geographic thing. However, some religions, as well as scientifically, will also explain it in their own terms. One of the most common stories is the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel, just as a quick summary, is a story of humans tried to build a tower to get to God. God was angry and he shattered the tower. He shot down the tower and split the humans across the land, and that created the different races and created the different languages. And the idea was that he would split their language so that they couldn't communicate anymore, and they would have to split up. And that was kind of the whole concept of the Tower of Babel. Now, there's a lot more in-depth stuff to that. I just gave you guys a very quick overview. But that's basically my idea on the theory of religion. That's where a lot of that kind of stuff comes from. There's some stuff that overcrosses between religion, and everyone tends to agree that, yes, religion came from the very first human beings, and where it all split from there. Everyone has their own interpretations. None of them are necessarily right or wrong. It's simply another person's way to explain something that they believe. And honestly, I think it's very cool to an extent, because there is a lot of stuff that can't be explained in science that can be in religion. It's very convenient, and it's very, very cool to look at. It's a story, and like I've said before, people love stories, and people are obviously going to put in stories to go with their religion, and that's awesome. I think that is awesome. So that's basically my explanation for the theory of religion. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please check out the Facebook link below to suggest more theories, and I will see you guys in the next video. Shadowlance out.